So 235,000 self-published titles are released annually, and this is a 287% increase in the last year alone. And the market is run by corporations, right? These websites called CreateSpace, Smashwords, Author Solutions, and Lulu. And I've used Lulu. That's what I use to publish all my books. So, like, we already know that self-published works saturating the market. Like, YouTube is flooded by all kinds of shitty videos. But what is it that sets the title apart from the market in terms of, like, self-published and actual published in regards to quality? Like, it's not to do with editing or spell checks, right? I'm just talking about that one thing that gets you reading and makes you start reading, like addictiveness, the story concepts. What do you think it is?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first. Kind of skipping over those things, I think it might be the rise of, like, the new independent record label, so to speak, of books. Like, if it's blowing up this huge at some point, like Amazon's top 100 most downloaded ebooks and stuff is a great list, but that's not necessarily going to be honed into your tastes. If you get a specific, like, independent book publisher who focuses on the type of thing that you're into, it's going to be a lot easier to be able to weed through the garbage. And I think like YouTube networks are starting to do that as well in a way. They're sort of like the independent label too. I see that being a big rise and a way to quickly find the good stuff out of the bad.
Yeah, I think independent journalism and all that is definitely on the rise, and it'll kind of require them to tell you what books are good and what aren't. Like, if one of us say a book is good, then there's a good chance someone else will read it. So the people who have a lot of followers and they say a book is good, like Oprah, she says a book is good, everyone buys it. That's just a massive thing. So that is a definite factor. I would also say that the concept alone, when you're talking about a story, is kind of a big deal as well. So, yeah, that person, like Oprah, would say the book is about this, and it sounds really exciting. So everyone reads it. If it's a book that sounds boring, then it's not going to get anywhere, really.
Yeah,
but then you have
that would be number one, probably. It's the easiest to explain in a couple sentences, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
So, like Oprah would say, I remember that she reviewed a book, right, that was by this guy, and it was supposed to be like non-fiction. Then it turns out the thing was fiction, and he blasted for it. I read that book. That was a really good book.
Pieces or something?
It's still a really good book. It's a million pieces, something like that.
A million little pieces, yeah.
I thought it was really good, even if it's. I don't care if it's non-fiction or fiction. That's ridiculous. It's just what it was about and how it was written was amazing. So, yeah, just goes to show that no matter what book it is, it's still going to get popular if someone just says it is. Like,
yeah.
But how exactly do we sort through the garbage? How do we find the gem in the sea of shitty sentences and crap prose and all this? I mean, how do you sort out the self-published trash from mainstream goodness?
I don't know. The thing is that, like, comparing it to YouTube, like, there is, like, there's some high quality YouTube stuff and there's a bunch of shitty YouTube stuff. But the thing about YouTube is that it's all free, so people are much more willing to take chances on things. Like, if YouTube was on a pay per video system, then it would probably be in the same boat as self-publishing. Like, once money gets involved, that adds, like, a whole other wrinkle to it. Because you're not only having to get somebody to invest their time into what you've written, you're also trying to get them to pay for it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you just write a big story at the start and no one's willing to invest the money on that risk, there's no chance they're going to read it. But yeah, definitely. I think they're already trying to solve that by having cheaper books on Amazon and all that.
Yeah.
But I think they're not really factoring in the time it takes to read a book. So if you buy a book for like $4 and it's really long and you get through it, like you get through like 20 pages and you don't like it, you still lost that $4. That hasn't changed. It's just, I think it would definitely have to be something like a shorter piece of work to show people that you know what you're doing. And then if you want to make it a series, if you want to just keep writing stories, people will read them after that. So I think establishing yourself as a writer is pretty damn important.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Liz, what do you think in terms of how to sort through self-published and mainstream stuff? How would you go about it?
I don't know about how I would go about it, but like, cause I follow like different kinds of blogs. Like one of my friends, she helps run a New Adult. It's like NA Alley, and basically like New Adult has not really been published in traditional publishing, and so it's kind of like self-publishing has allowed this genre to kind of at least get some roots down before, you know, traditional publishing will even give it a chance. And a lot of people in traditional publishing, whether it be authors, editors, and such like that I follow on Twitter, are like, New Adult's not a thing. Like, why are you trying to make this a thing? And it's like, but I'm in my early 20s and I want something that is, you know, something about my age group rather than talking about, you know, teenagers all the time. Because I read a lot of YA, but like, I don't know, that doesn't really answer the question, but at the same time, it's just like, I like being able to find stuff that's a little bit more, not just monetarily accessible, but finding something that, you know, I can personally, like, relate to a bit more than, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really exciting about self-publishing is, and, you know, just the internet in general, is that there's now a way for people who want to write something or make something to get that out there, even if it's like risky and is something that would not be picked up by a traditional outlet, but that people still want to read or watch or whatever.
Yeah, I found some publishers kind of categorize all their published works into a certain genre or a certain style. And so then they can just approach the market they've already got and say, hey, we've got another guy that writes exactly like this other guy, so buy this book.
Yeah.
It's not like with Random House Penguin, I don't know the new name for it, but whatever they're going to do, they're going to be publishing everything. So, I mean, unless you go through their list of genres, it's really difficult because it's like they just publish everything, so there's no unification on that front. But self-published stuff is difficult to go through because, I mean, some people just write what they want to write. They don't have a genre in mind.
Yeah.
They just write anything. So, how the hell are you supposed to find which ones, you know, they're similar?
I know.
It's difficult.
Yeah. I know. It's clear we need some kind of way to aggregate this and separate the wheat from the chaff, but I don't know what that system should be.
Well, something like NaNoWriMo would work well if they just expanded their market, expanded how they work, how they operate, to include people who self-publish titles and make it so that if a good title comes up, they can promote the crap out of it and just, like, you know, tell publishers about it, tell readers about it, basically just build a community around self-published works. I mean, they could do it. They've got the market for it. They just haven't really gone further with it. It's just been very, write a novel in a month. That's it. Do it.
We need to get, like, established authors in the very similar sense that established musicians do this, that rise to the top and are known for being who they are, that start their own publishing company, and then people who are fans know that all these things that are underneath sort of has that seal of approval. Like, if Neil Gaiman or Dave Eggers or J.K. Rowling, whoever, had their own thing and took a 10% cut of every copy of the ebook that was sold, like, I'm sure you would read a lot of the stuff J.K. Rowling produced because you were a huge Harry Potter fan growing up or whatever, you know. That I'm surprised that it hasn't taken off, because you see that in, like, the hip-hop industry all the time. The big rappers get to the top and then they get their crew of guys, and it's curious it hasn't happened yet. I'd be surprised if it doesn't eventually start to take off.
That's a pretty damn good idea, actually. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd be all up for
like,
that.
I would totally read, like, a self-published novel that was endorsed by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
You know, there is actually a thing I just remembered. There's a service called Story Bundle that works a lot like the Humble Bundle that happened a month or two ago. That's entirely for self-published stories. And it gathers up, like, really good self-published ebooks together that all fit within a certain genre for that month, and then they sell them on, like, a pay-what-you-want subscription basis.
Yeah,
And like something like that, I think, is really helpful.
we actually talked about that last podcast, but we had to cut it
Oh, yeah.
because video recording issues. But we thought it was a really good idea. Something like that works wonders. There should definitely be more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's specifically for self-published stuff, which I think is like probably the best way I've heard so far of getting people to read self-published books and getting them out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a charitable thing. Like you're helping other people, other writers that you think are good, and you're not really doing it for profit. You're just doing it because you want to be helpful. I mean, that's Neil Gaiman is probably one of the greatest writers of all time just because of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Apparently, self-published works, right, need 20,000 copies sold before regular publishers would notice them. How would you suggest people go about getting that number? And what happens if the publisher does notice them? Do they take down the self-published title and then just re-release it, or what do you reckon? Anything?
I think you have to gain a following that is following you for a different reason than just because you write a book. So it's obviously really easy being YouTube people to say that you get a YouTube following, but there's plenty of other different things. But you have to offer a service that's very accessible and that is giving. You're giving your time and your energy towards something, and people appreciate that. And if you continue that for a long while, then when the time comes that you do want, the help of the people to be like, hey, this is a book I wrote, I would really appreciate if you guys checked it out and, tell me what you thought, and it's on sale for $1.99, then those people are going to be really likely to help you out because you've helped them out for so long. It's the thank you economy, and that kind of will catapult you right away. I think you need to step in as something else book related before you take on being an author yourself if you're trying to do it by yourself.
I think the reality of being a self-published author is that you're going to have to accept that there's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to do for free before people are going to spend money on you. Like, if you look at all of, like, the book bloggers, or not book bloggers, but bloggers in general who got book deals, then, they were spending, like, in some cases 5 years putting out content for free on a regular basis, and then they were able to get the book deal for the money.
Take Nate Silver, for example, who's been following this whole the U.S. election the entire time, and he has a blog, and now it's backed by the New York Times, and I'm sure that pays well too. But that was a constant stream of quality information for free. I could access that whenever I wanted. He was constantly updating a blog. There was new analysis along the side. He ended up nailing his predictions, and now his book that was for sale was originally ranked at 100 on Amazon's list. Last I checked is now number 2 because he put in all that months and months of time and hard work that people in the end said, this guy knows something. I appreciate what he's done. I want to hear more, and they're willing to cash out for that.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter if you're a fantastic writer these days. It's just if you can get well known, then you can be successful. Because 50 Shades of Grey is an obvious example of that. It just spread through word of mouth, and suddenly, it's top in the charts, even though it's not that great of a book. So, I think in terms of being more than an author, 100% agree. Like Neil Gaiman right now is just promoting himself. Really, he's been on making videos about. Right now, he's just done a video on some free ebooks that he wants to dish out for Halloween. That's pretty cool. Then he's also done the Humble Bundle as well. So. He's also been on Google Play. They've got this channel where Google Play interviews authors and that kind of thing because they're trying to promote themselves, and so they get the authors on board, they talk to them for a bit, and that's really worked for him. So yeah, definitely if you're a writer, get on YouTube right now because it's hopping, it's hopping, guys.